We won't hijack it.
No. This is strange.
I know.
It's been a long time.
It has.
Good snow in the van.
I keep looking for you on the screen. I
It's
just,
like, what?
Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, everybody, welcome back. It's good to see everyone. We thank the governor for changing the public orders and gatherings and allowing us to meet again. It's good to all be back in the same room. We do have technology as a reminder to the public that we're using, which is new again. We were oriented on it and ran a couple meetings on it, and so please bear with us as we continue to move forward with the technology and might need a little refresher at times tonight. But welcome, and with that, we will take roll.
Nelson.
Here.
Orison.
Here.
Larson.
Here.
Wunschel.
Here.
Hanson.
Here.
Reed.
Here.
Moriarty.
Here.
Thank you. Item 3 is the consent agenda. 3A is a motion to approve the city council minutes of May 18, 2020. B, licenses. Approve Class E liquor license with Class B wine, Class C beer, and Sunday sales for Casey's Store 1894 at 800 South Grand Avenue, subject to final approval by the Iowa Alcoholic Beverages Division. Class C liquor license with Sunday sales for Chen's Garden. Class C liquor license with outdoor service and Sunday sales for Clay County Fair Association. Class C beer permit with Sunday sales for Hy-Vee Gas. And special Class C beer wine license with Sunday sales for China One Buffet, all subject to final approval by Iowa Alcoholic Beverages Division. C is a resolution authorizing permanent transfer of funds of budgeted transfers for the month ending May 31, 2020. D is a motion to approve purchase of a 2020 Ford F-250 for $28,556 from Don Pearson Ford, and a Brand FX service body and lift gate from Highway Truck of Fort Dodge, Iowa for $14,231, both for the waste treatment plant, and both are CIP items. E is a motion to approve purchase of a Canon Image Runner Advance C55503 printer scanner for the City Hall administration from Loeffler, formerly Office Systems Company of Spencer, Iowa for $6,751.27. F is a resolution proposing the sale and transfer of city real property, former railroad right-of-way located in Section 6, Township 96 North, Range 36 West of the 5th PM, Section 31, Township 97 North, Range 36 West of the 5th PM, and Sections 25 and 36, Township 97 North, Range 37 West of the 5th PM, all in Clay County, consisting of approximately 9.66 acres, and scheduling a public hearing for June 15, 2020, and directing the publication of notice.
I'll introduce the consent agenda.
First by Bill,
Second.
second by Lauren. Questions or discussions on the items that we went over?
Mayor, I would request that the transfer of funds be removed. We weren't able to get that compiled for tonight due to the timing of the end of the month, and we still had a few other closeouts, so we'll have that for the June 15th meeting.
Okay, to be clear, that is 3C. We are removing from item 3. Any other questions regarding the items? Hearing none, vote by machine, please.
Nelson, I. Orison, I. Larson, I. Wunschel, I. Hanson, I. Reed, I. Moriarty, I.
Thank you. Item 4 is a public hearing. 4A, public hearing on proposed zoning ordinance, text amendment amending Title 9, Chapter 13, Section 1 of the Spencer City Code concerning subdivision definitions. I declare the public hearing open. Do we have any written comments in favor of or against?
We have none.
Do we have any oral comments in favor of or against? I see none. I declare the public hearing closed. Item 4A1 is an ordinance amending Title IX, Chapter 13, Section 1 of the Spencer City Code, subdivision definitions. This is the first filing.
I'll make that motion.
First by Donovan,
Second.
second by George. I believe this work originated with the Toyer study, some recommendations that David had. That's gone through P&Z, I believe. I don't know, does the staff want to mention a few comments on this?
Actually, Mayor, this originated from our discussions with the school when we sold, or when we
Gotcha.
gave property to them at Fairview for their school expansion. And I think Don can properly explain it better than I can, but essentially it makes the plating process easier.
It creates two situations where a plat would not be required where one is now. And as Amanda's just described, the one case is the property line adjustment, where that's all that's happening is a parcel is, they're moving the property line from where it currently exists. And the other is the creation of a parcel which doesn't involve dedication of any public right-of-way or extension of any infrastructure or utilities, and where each parcel still has 60 feet abutting a public street. That's the ordinance.
Thank you, Don. Thank you, Amanda. Any questions regarding this? Hearing none, I'll call the vote.
Nelson, I. Orson, I. Larson, I. Wunschel, I. Hanson, I. Reed, I. Moriarty, I.
Thank you. Item 4B is a public hearing on proposed zoning ordinance text amendment amending Title IX, Chapter 14 of the Spencer City Code, Planned Unit Residential Development, Section 9-14-3B2, concerning common open area, Section 9-14-4, concerning layout and design requirements, Section 9-14-7, concerning minimum site size. This is the first filing. I declare the public hearing open. Have we received any written comments in favor of or against?
We have none.
Are there any oral comments in favor of or against? I see none. I declare the public hearing closed. Item 4B1 is an ordinance amending Title IX, Chapter 14 of the Spencer City Code on Planned Unit Residential Development, Section 9-14-3B2, concerning common open area, Section 9-14-4 concerning layout and design requirements, and Section 9-14-7 concerning minimum site size. This is the first filing.
So moved. I move the ordinance.
First by, was that Bill?
No,
Tom?
Tom.
First by Tom, second by George. Discussion or questions on this?
So Mayor, this is, Don, what were because wasn't it 25 feet in the front and 25 in the rear setbacks before, or what was our previous setbacks on those?
I think you're right. This did come partially from the Toyer study and partially from what you've been hearing from developers in the market. For 30-plus years, we've had this chapter in the city code permitting the creation of planned unit developments. Now, those are, ideally, they're an area of property, as it was required, 5 acres or more, where you'd have smaller residential parcels, you'd have some multifamily, you might even have some light commercial, all to be planned out and presented to the planning and zoning and then to the council as a development that would include the option for different kinds of residential structures and smaller lots. In all that time, we've never had a proposal. So after considering the recommendations of trying to create smaller lot sizes, the planning department took the approach of amending the planned unit development code, which I think is a good way to approach this, because you still maintain more control than over regular development. P&Z has to approve, you have to approve. But the specifics, as Councilman Hanson started to allude to, smaller lot sizes, 4,000 square feet, 40 feet minimum width, front yard setback reduced to 20, rear yard reduced to 15, side yard reduced to 5, and lot coverage increased to 80%. That will at least give developers the opportunity to bring forth a proposal for different sorts of housing. Patio homes, you know, seem to be the most common right now. This would allow the housing development you're going to hear about later tonight at the end of the agenda. But there's no magic to these particular numbers, and you're certainly free to review and consider and maybe adjust them.
Under P and Z, under some of their amendments and stuff, a lot of them come to the rear lot, when they have to come for adjustments and Board of Adjustments and stuff. This should probably alleviate some of those requisitions and stuff to go to the.
A lot of those are side yards on corner lots in particular.
Right.
And if this concept is undertaken, yes, that'll avoid those sorts of problems. And also, we're reducing the minimum size from the 5 acres.
To 1 acre.
1 acre, thank you, I couldn't recall. So that, of these small lots, you could get about 10 of them with some right-of-way in an acre.
Okay.
So that's,
Are they changing anything on the housing part of it, like size of house or anything, or is it just on lot on this one?
well, by reducing the setback requirements, they've been,
Basically.
they allow about a 2,000 square foot home on the 40-foot lot.
Right, because if you look at the 5 feet on each side, it can only be 30 feet wide, and if you go just the numbers, I mean, it's gonna dictate what the size of the house is, and then the 80% of the lot size
Right.
is gonna, yeah.
Don, I've got a couple of questions. I think this is a great idea, something that we've needed in, like you said, probably for 30 years, because I've seen it happen in other communities. The question that I have is that because this is I guess we now call them PURDs instead of PUDs, the question I have is there a homeowners association requirement to control what goes on within that PURD or not? Is that something that we do? Is that a state statute that demands like so many houses or so many residents per PURD that you have to have a homeowners association? And does the developer control that? And is there a point in time where it's turned over to the homeowners? Those are the questions that I have.
Hey, Don, before you answer that quick, I believe we have somebody on the telephone who's also watching on TV. If you're doing that, could you please mute the TV? We're getting feedback through the phone. Thank you.
Okay, the first answer is no, this wouldn't require a homeowners association. A developer could come to you and say, here, I've got 1.2 acres,
Okay.
and I want to plat 10 of these small lots. I want to put a street down the middle, and that's that. And he
Okay.
would sell them the lot just like happens today.
Okay?
A developer could also do as you suggested, and come in and say, in fact, I'm going to do this as a condominium.
Yep.
And I'm going to have 10 units, and we are going to have a homeowners association, and the association's going to do the landscaping, mow the grass, and move the snow. Either way is possible, and neither is, required.
So nothing required, but if the developer decides to do that, is there a point in time where we as the city would turn that over to the residents as opposed to being controlled by the developer? Or is that all up to the homeowners association documents?
That's between the buyer and the seller.
Okay, very good, thank you. That answers my questions.
Thank you, Bill. Any other questions regarding this item? Hearing none, I'll call the vote.
Nelson, I. Orison, I. Larson, I. Wunschel, I. Hanson, I. Reed, I. Moriarty, I.
Thank you. Item 5, old business. 5A is a ordinance amending Title 4, Chapter 5, Section 21 of the Spencer City Code concerning solid waste rates and charges with an effective date of July 1st, 2020. This is the final reading.
I'd introduce that.
First by Bill,
Second.
second by Lauren. Discussion or questions on this? Hearing none, I will call the vote.
Nelson, I. Orson, I. Larson, I. Wunschel, I. Hanson, I. Reed, I. Moriarty, I.
Item 6, new business. 6A is a resolution approving the creation of a separate real estate parcel of 1.04186 acres in the southeast quarter of Section 2, Township 96 North, Range 37 West of the 5th PM, Clay County, Iowa, and waiving the requirement for a subdivision plat.
So moved.
First by Tom,
I'll second.
second by Bill. Any discussion or questions related to this item?
What is it? What is the location on this exact, physical one? Is it out north or?
It's,
Street, north of Sunrise Housing.
Okay, that's by, out there,
West of Northwest.
where the new bank is and stuff. All right.
Any other questions? We'll call the vote. Tom.
Nelson, I. Orson, I. Larson, I. Wunschel, I. Hanson, I. Reed, I. Moriarty, I.
Thank you. Item 5B is to approve an agreement for engineering services with McClure Engineering for wastewater treatment plant nutrient reduction evaluation for $24,500. This was discussed at the Public Works Committee meeting on 4/30 of 2020.
I'll make that motion.
First by Donovan,
I'll second it.
second by Ron. Any questions on this item? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? The motion carries. Item 5C is a motion to approve amendment number 1 to the agreement for engineering services for the waste treatment plant improvements Phase 2 with McClure Engineering for $152,000. This was also discussed at the Public Works Committee meeting on 4/30/2020.
I move the approval.
First by George,
Second.
second by Donovan. Any discussion or questions related to this? All right. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? The motion carries. Item 5D is a resolution in support of a workforce housing tax credit benefit application to be submitted to the Iowa Economic Development Authority by IGL Construction LLC for a housing project at 221 32nd Avenue West.
I'll make the motion.
First by Tracy,
Second.
second by Lauren. Discussion, questions related to this?
Staff just add to the question, I'm assuming there's no commitment or no obligation on our part, we're simply supporting the concept.
well, actually, our obligation is, so as part of the housing tax credit program, the resolution of support requires a minimum of $1,000 per unit commitment. However, we have a tax abatement program already on the books, and that meets the $1,000 per unit qualification. So, yes and no, we're not committing any cash to the project.
Is our sewer disposal adequate to handle that, since we did that upgrade out there?
They'll be putting in new infrastructure out there.
But what about the city's portion? Will we have to put in more new sewer, is my point? Or
No,
does it handle it?
I don't believe so. We haven't discussed that.
The capacity of the sanitary sewer has been increased, so we believe that that'll be adequate for that. But, you know, if we start growing greatly from that, then we'd have to have some additional concerns. Currently, the bottleneck would be the lift station, George. But the
Oh, the
pipe,
lift
thanks to the last project, has improved that efficiency there.
Okay, thank you, Mark.
I'd like to thank IGL Construction and the city staff for working on this project. I know it's been in the works for a while, and it's going to be a nice addition of available housing, new housing to our town. There's a great need for that, and for those who are listening or wondering where this is the property just to the south of the Pivot Point business here in town. So look forward to that project. Any other questions or discussion?
Hallelujah.
Hallelujah. All right. George took us to church. I will call the vote.
Nelson, I. Orson, I. Larson, I. Wunschel, I. Hanson, I. Reed, I. Moriarty, I.
Thank you. Item 7, department heads. I know we have some department heads on the phone. We will begin with the planning department. Amanda?
Just a small update. The Board of Adjustment met this morning. They did approve a moving permit for a property that's located at 221 32nd Avenue West. The Board of Adjustment did put several conditions on that moving permit, so if you're contacted by property owners in that area, the project must be fully completed by November 1st. It needs to have a full basement on it. Landscaping and siding needs to meet the neighborhood appearance. They also discussed a variance request from Century Farms Distillery that was tabled. The applicants are going to review their application and come back in a month with some modifications. Planning and Zoning met a few weeks ago, and you've seen the work of that body here tonight with both of the ordinance amendments, and that's it for the Planning Department.
Amanda?
Yes.
I'd ask the question, I think it's important. The home that they're moving is also a modular that's going into a subdivision that is majority modular as well.
Yeah, manufactured home.
Manufactured home, so.
Thank you, Amanda.
Opening up to the public today. So it's been slow to roll, but it seems like people are utilizing it. So our phase plan is going well. So and we are summer reading program for both adults and kids and teens will be online. That literature should be on our website and our Facebook page. For sign up, and we will have programs available, and we do have prizes, weekly prize drawings, and we are using chamber bucks, so to really encourage our citizens and participants to use our local businesses, and some other goodies. So track your reading. It's all ages. So it doesn't matter if you're, 6 months or 106 or beyond, you can participate. So, our programming looks a little different right now, but we're doing what we can with what we got.
Any questions for Mandy? Appreciate your leadership, Mandy, and your staff's patience as we work through the pandemic, and thank you for opening back up and taking the measures that you've taken. Fire Department, Chief Kanyan.
Good evening, Council, Ms. Manager. The City of Spencer's Fire Department saw 15 fire runs, including a bunch of trash fires and some illegal burning. We have gone to KCID as well as on our Facebook page posting what a proper burning ring can have and what it can't have. We also saw a couple of food on the stove calls, as well as a couple of sprinklers hit in a couple of our manufacturing areas. Lastly, last week, as most of you know, we had a fire on the 300 block of East 4th Street. It was a strong endeavor, strong work by all the firefighters, as well as having Everly come across to help man our station, as well as give us some manpower. Our med runs included 13 runs dealing with some seizures, difficulty breathing. A keynote for the month was we went on a call where all of a sudden a few PD members as well as a few fire department members were possibly exposed. It was a true learning experience for the COVID world that we're in. And test results came back negative and we're all here and that much stronger about it. Had a couple of calls for our ambulance in the station for lift assist as well as a couple of people with altered level of consciousness. Lastly, with training, we still have an online training, and we also have webinars that we were pushing out, and some of the great webinar topics included Burlington Northern and Santa Fe railroads as far as dealing with railroad locations as far as equipment as well as how to deal with hazardous material responses. Also COVID protection and as far as technology and decontamination. And lastly, fire ground. Any questions?
If we had a derailment
Yes.
with the tankers coming from Hartley, what's our responsibility and how do we fit in with emergency?
Well, naturally, I mean, on something like that, we're going to be utilizing the Clay County Emergency Management System as well, but we partner with the railroad. The nice part is, depending on the location is really the key topic. You know, if it's not a pressurized container and they're low pressure, we have unit containers of ethanol that are coming through, and the real deal would be is, you know, how far is it, where is it located, how far should we evacuate, and things like that. And we have played, or at least I have played that out a few times, and I do have a couple of scenarios written up as far as a response. We also have, again, with our mutual aid that we have from different areas, you know, we'd also be protecting. The bigger thing is the response area, and can we get it across the tracks? You know, how far do you have to go to chase it would be the real deal. And I will say that working with the railroads right away, you know, you just go right to the conductor, get the consist, and we understand, you know, where to go from there. You bet. Thank you. Thank you.
Police Department, Chief Warburton.
Nice to have a cheerleader. So, all right, so the police department this month of May had a definite uptick. We had responded to 887 calls for service this month and performed 70 arrests, compared to 688 last month. The police department continues with the CDC guidelines. We're still wearing our masks. Today we received a touchless thermometer and continue to take our temp twice a day and follow those guidelines. This month had firearms training for the police department, so every officer went out, observed the social distancing guidelines out to the range. Officers were certified in rifle, shotgun, and our handguns. Lastly, the ATV ordinance went into effect here May 27th, and I have seen several people out utilizing their ATVs. So that's been very exciting to the department and to the city, and as of this point, no issues so far. So that's all been good. So, any questions?
Do they have to have a license displayed?
Yeah, there's a sticker that's on the side, the state license. Yep, it's a sticker that goes on the side, usually on the side of the tank somewhere or on the back.
Not on the rear end or front?
No,
end,
no, there's
it's
no
on the side.
license plates or anything like that. It's just a sticker that mounts on the side. They get that over there at the administration building.
Thank you.
Yep. Any other questions? Have a good day.
Thank you, Chief. Public Works Department, Mark.
Good evening again, everybody. The street division, of course, we're just coming off kind of the end of the COVID situation and getting back to normal with our schedules. And however, we were able to receive 500 ton of gravel at the street division, pile that up. That was part of a project that we do during for road maintenance. Completed the North Grand Avenue signs, which we've got a lot of compliments on that. So that was really nice project. That was a shared project with the North Grand Improvement Corporation along with the city and the city staff, and the end result is definitely a nice look. We've started street repairs in earnest, intake repairs as well, and one of the things that always makes me a little uneasy to make sure we have it timed correctly is the asphalt repairs prior to the seal coat project that happens later in the summer. It's just kind of a feeling of relief when that is done, because we could hold up a contractor that way. So, also the 17th Avenue was completed. I think Bill asked about that. That's the road next to the MWI new building, spec building on East 4th Street. That is kind of an odd numbered street when you start to think about it a little bit. And then one new addition we'd like to bring attention to is the radar sign on West 4th Street when you come in by the cemetery. That really grabs your attention and hopefully has a calming effect on the traffic in that area. Also, the street division was involved and did the placement of the planters, benches, and trash containers on Grand Avenue after they were refurbished. So there's always a little bit of an adjustment to get some of those dialed back into the places they were laid out. Solid waste is all back to normal except for the curbside pickup, which will resume on June 8th. So we're back to normal. We will be completely back to normal with our operations, and landfill is in the middle of the cell project, and Ross will be able to tell you about that when he's during the engineer's report. So anything for us? Thank you.
Mark, just want to pass along some compliments from people. I've noticed that street sweepers seems like they've been out,
Excellent.
and they're very appreciative of seems like they've seen more of them.
Well, it was a good social distancing project as well. You could be in the sweeper alone, and also it's twofold. In addition to making it look nicer, it keeps the material out of the sewers, which reduces maintenance. Sometimes we don't think about it. All that sand we put down during the winter out of the back of those trucks has to be picked back up, and that's picked up with the sweeper. So that's good to hear. We appreciate that.
And also second on the radar sign.
Oh, good. Yeah, that's a good location to that. So, yeah. So we had some encouragement with that one. So,
Thank you.
yeah, thank you.
Parks and Rec, Jared.
Good evening. So last week and a half ago, we had our master park plan public meeting online. I think we had 14 people attend the actual Zoom meeting, but a lot of people watched via Facebook Live. I think we had over like 250 views on that page with some questions, so it was good. They're going to be developing a plan as far as long-term, short-term, kind of midterm goals, and then they've assessed each park. So they're going to develop those plans, and then put it into a kind of a draft form document they'll bring back to us, and we'll be able to review. Today we had a couple park openings. So the skate park is currently open. We've limited that to 5 people in there at a time. That allows for people to still use the skate park but maintain a social distance between individuals and groups. We've opened the public restrooms at the shelter house by the campground. Pedersen Park are the only 2 public bathrooms that we're going to open at this time. There's one down by the aquatic center that we haven't opened yet. We'll open that when the pool is allowed to open. The playgrounds we've opened. We put signage up there as well. It's kind of enter at your own risk. We ask that they sanitize and clean their hands before and after use, and no congregating at those parks. They've gotten a lot of use as of today. When we open, there have been a lot of families out using those. Pedersen Park is open now. The Spencer Youth Association, Softball and Baseball Association has plans to start their practices on June 15th, as well as the Co-Ed Softball League will start their business on the 15th as well. They have some rules and guidelines that they've developed that we're going to put in place, or that will allow them to put in place and use before they can return to play. So those are things like social distancing during practices, staying out of the dugouts during practice, maybe having an second dugout, during games, stay behind the fence and limit visitors to only family, and sit in a social distancing manner. So the aquatic center, per governor's orders, is still closed until the 17th because we currently don't offer any swim lessons or lap swimming there now, so we're just going to remain closed until she makes a decision after the 17th. So we're cleaning that up, working with the YMCA to get that ready to go, and should be ready soon. We have put a couple new park signs up that we've purchased through our CRP project. So at Westview Memorial Park and Sunset, and we're going to keep trying to put a couple signs a week up here in the various parks. So. Any other questions?
Jared, a couple things. First of all, on the park signs, I've had some people comment on those already, how bright they look and how nice they look. So,
good.
How are you patrolling the skate park? 5 people. Is there?
It's tough.
Honor?
We're just kind of keeping an eye on it. Today, we've been by there several times, and we haven't had any issues with that, keeping that 5 limit. So.
Okay. Thanks.
A couple of things, I made a comment on Facebook. It really looked nice when we trimmed all the trees on Grand Avenue.
Sure.
That really, I happened to notice that a couple of weeks ago, and sprouts coming out all over.
Yeah.
Thanks to you and the crew for doing it. It really
Yeah, I don't know why they started doing that, but they didn't look very good. So.
Any other questions for Jared?
Thank you.
All right. Thank you. Golf course, Brian, I believe you're on the phone.
Good evening, everyone. Golf course has kind of been business as usual. We've battled the very wet weather. Past week, we finally got things back under control. Now we've got the high temperatures coming up, which will probably limit some of our golf. But all of our golf leagues are in full swing this week. We will be implementing the 50% clubhouse capacity tomorrow. I did not start it today just due to the fact that I had a couple questions still in regards to procedure. But otherwise, I think I covered pretty much everything in the update over the weekend. We're looking forward to start spraying our broadleaf weed and some green treatment and stuff along those lines. I don't have anything else unless there's some questions.
Any questions for Brian?
I've got a question. The number of memberships, is it up, down, same? What is it, Brian?
It's currently down right now.
Significantly or just down?
Last year it was down significantly, and this year it's down just a little bit from last year. But we still have some, we haven't had all the leagues start yet, so we'll still should pick up a few here and there.
Thank you.
Any other questions for Brian? City Attorney, Don?
Thank you, Mayor. It was a fairly routine month in May, a lot of variety of things, a couple of fences where they shouldn't be, a number of building and land use questions, but pretty much routine unless you have questions about anything in particular. I would like to report, though, about a property on East 19th, 324 East 19th, had been targeted, received a number of complaints over the years. We targeted it as an abandoned building. I got an opportunity to tour that home last week. It's remarkable, the shape it's in now. It's great. It's listed for sale. So one small victory in our continuing struggle.
Thank you, Don. Any other questions for Don? Okay, item 8, engineers report. Ross?
Good evening, everyone. Construction's been a little slow in the last couple of weeks because of all the rain, but I do have a report on a few jobs. Over at the landfill, Rognus Brothers has completed the leachate pipe work and will start the clay liner this week. Hopefully that'll go fairly quickly, and then they'll put in the HDPE liner and got a couple other things to do and wrap that up by the end of the month, hopefully. Out on West 4th Street, MLS Landscape and Design was in and seeded today, so things are really starting to shape up out there. Obviously, the river bottom is going to take some time to dry and not flood, so we may have to come up with an alternate plan for that for right now, so we can close that job out, but we'll talk more about that with Public Works. And then on the if you've been down by Walmart, Holstein Excavating started the 4th Avenue Southwest Sidewalk Project. That project is from Highway 71 south down to the new sidewalk on 13th Street Southwest. They worked on Friday and today and have completed the storm sewer work, and they will start the fill work on Wednesday. A couple other things we had going was Corey Driggins Constructions completed half the intake replacements on the 2020 intake replacement project. And then private job that becomes a city street, DeLoss Construction paved the street extension down at Windcrest Second Edition on Friday. So, any questions about anything? Thank you.
Thank you, Ross. Item 9, City Manager's Report. Amanda?
The park program that we work in tandem with the YMCA on will start on June 15th. That'll be at Sunset, East Leach, and Deerfield. I don't know why I'm drawing a blank. So we'll be posting information about that. If there are enough kids who participate, they'll have stations set up so that they can maintain social distancing. City Hall reopened today. I think it went relatively well. No complaints from staff or from patrons. So we're glad to be everyone back in the building and open to the public. We have several committee meetings over the next couple of weeks, so sort of been spending time on preparing for that. I did want to let you know that Boji Metal Works, formerly of Spirit Lake, has acquired the A.Y. McDonald facility, and they have moved in and have begun work on that property. We would have been preparing for Flag Fest had COVID-19 not struck. So I wanted to remind everyone that the Chamber is doing a series of events throughout the month of June. So watch their social media and their website for information on how to participate in these Spencer Together events. And I'd just like to remind you that if you're mowing your lawn, to not blow the grass out into the street. You're welcome. So that's all I have. Any questions for me?
Thank you, Amanda. Item 10, Mayor's Report. We have an official item of business to do. I would seek a motion to approve an appointment of Dana Kramer to the Plumbing Examiners Board to fulfill the term of Rick Dean, which expires on 6/30 of 2023.
I'll make a motion on that.
First by Ron.
I'll second.
Second by George. Any discussion or questions?
Are we full on the plumbers board, or are we still?
This-
Now we are. I thought we were down one yet.
There will be one more coming in this month on the normal rotation.
Oh, okay.
So Rick had stepped down early in this
Yeah.
as the citizen position of the 3, and then this would fill that.
Okay.
Fill Rick's term out, yep. So there's a first, there's a second. All right, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, motion carries. And thank you, Rick, for your many years of service as the citizen representative on that plumbing board. A couple other items. We do have other board appointments that will be coming up in the month of June. I'll be meeting with the city staff. I would like to say 2 thank yous. The first to those who have served. We have people stepping down who have served a number of years. We appreciate their time and energy and passion, and we have had people reach out of interest to fill those positions as well. We'll go through those by the next council meeting, hopefully, the majority of those anyway, and appreciate that interest. It's a hot one today, probably the hottest day we've had, I think, this year. Just remind the citizens, especially the little ones, to stay hydrated. Heat sickness can sneak up on you, so as you're out there and active, please stay hydrated. If you're exercising or you're out and about in the early morning hours or the late evening hours, please consider reflective clothing as well as flashing lights. It's better to be seen than not, and so if you're out at those times, I would encourage you to do that. Also, please watch the bike trail intersections, the walking trail intersections on the busy, so 18th and other places around town. Please be cautious of those, whether you're a walker, biker, or a driver. I'd like to thank the Spencer citizens who are currently serving in the Guard. I understand there's a couple deployments that are going out to South Africa. So for those who have deployed and those who will be deploying, thank you for your service. And our thoughts and prayers will be with you and your families as you deploy. As the chief mentioned, ATV, UTVs, and golf carts have been buzzing around town for a week almost, I guess. and appreciate the fact that, number one, we've had no legal incidents. People have been responsible, look forward to them continuing to be responsible and using those around town. COVID-19 task force continues to meet daily. Wanted you to know that. We've had some calls on that. So the cases to the south of us in BV County are on the rise. Our confirmed cases are going up partly because of what's going on to the south of us. So just know that we're still watching it, monitoring it. We asked the hospital, with the rise, we haven't seen the hospitalizations that were forecasted, and that's one of the major variables that the governor was watching. So there was some confusion. We get asked, well, why are we opening things up when the cases locally and regionally are going up? And the primary reason we took the measures to begin with was to protect the burden on the healthcare system, and the healthcare system just isn't seeing the influx that was projected. And so that's a big component. Even though the numbers are on the rise, that's why we're opening things up. So thank you for your patience the last couple of months, and please continue to utilize the spaces with respect for those who are also out and about. The last item I would cover, the main topic on my phone today was the protest that is scheduled Thursday at 5 o'clock here in town. I will be having a press conference at 3:45 tomorrow to go over more details about what we know about the protest. But tonight I would like to address some key questions that I have received today. So the first one is who is organizing it? 4 people are organizing it that we know of. None of them are residents of Spencer. They are in towns not from here. We have reached out to them. They have talked to key city staff. They have every intention, we're told, to make this a peaceful protest, to not have it be violent. With that said, one of our goals in what we are charged with as elected officials and city staff members is public safety. And so we want you to know that we are discussing what we need to do from the city perspective to keep everyone safe. We're going to, take some measures, but we'll go over that a little more in detail tomorrow. And so I'd just like to let you know that we are aware of it. I would like to let you know that we are discussing it, and I would like to let you know that we are preparing for what we need to do to help keep the public safe during this protest. People have the right to protest in this country. We support that right, but we do not support the right for violence or destruction of property, and as a city, we will not tolerate that. And so we look forward to working with the organizers to have a successful event, and look forward to the public. Those who will protest who are from here and those who are coming into town, please do it responsibly. And I've been asked, well, Mayor, why are people not from here organizing a protest here? And I saw one of their explanations on social media today, which I think is reflective of the role that we play in our region. Spencer has been selected, their words, not mine, because of the relevance of the size of our town and the importance in our region. And if there's an event and a protest that happens here, people pay attention. And so as we make many decisions in a regional and developmental basis, Spencer is very relevant in the region. And so number one, we thank them for identifying that. And number two, I look forward to hopefully what will be just a peaceful demonstration of what they view needs to be said. And so with that, I would entertain any questions that you might have.
Mr. Mayor, what, do we know what the reason of the protest, what they're protesting?
The same reason that the other protests are happening across the country.
They seem to be varied, though. They start out one way and then they've got...
This is specifically, and they have, I'm not going to speak for them, they have, material posted on Facebook, but, I believe it's for awareness of equal rights amongst all humans, and I'm hoping that, that's the discourse and the discussion that they'll have. They've said that they're going to start at East Leach Park and go down to the police station, I believe over to the courthouse area, and then back to East Leach Park for speakers and discussion and things of that nature.
So they're going down Grand and down the highway?
On the sidewalk, right.
Oh, on the sidewalks.
Yeah, they're not allowed nobody is allowed just to walk down the highway and the streets. So
they seem to be in the cities.
Yeah, well, we're working with them, hopefully, to not have it look like what you see on TV. So that's the goal. Any other questions?
They would be an honor.
You say there's a start time for it, do they have a dedicated end time?
5 o'clock, I believe, Chief, they said, so like 8 or 9 o'clock is their targeted end time? 8 o'clock? Okay, yeah, we'll try to clarify that as well.
In the morning?
PM, 5 PM, I believe, to about 8 o'clock PM.
Yeah, that's not too good. That's about time we should have a curfew.
Yeah, well, part of the discussion tomorrow. So any other questions? All right, thank you. Item 11, council committee reports.
Tomorrow at 5:30 PM, our long-term planning committee is going to meet. We're going to discuss the electrical board recommendations as well as have a general discussion about a rental inspection program. On June 8th at 5:30 PM, we'll have a joint personnel and Parks, Recreation, and Culture Committee meeting to discuss the job description for the full-time parks position that was approved in the new budget. On that same day at 6:30 PM, we'll have a joint personnel and long-term planning committee meeting to discuss the planning director position. We have a regularly scheduled council meeting on June 15th at 6:30 PM. And on June 16th at 5:30 PM, we'll have a personnel committee meeting to meet with Charlie Carlson to discuss the wage study.
All right, thank you, Amanda. Item 12, I would entertain a motion to approve the bills and claims.
So moved.
First by Bill,
Second.
second by Donovan. Any discussion or questions? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries. Item 13, other business opportunity to address the council. Would anybody like the platform? Quiet crowd. Kind of like the first day back to school. Nobody wants to talk. All right, I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
First by Lauren,
No, second.
second by Tracy. All those in favor?
Aye.
Hearing none opposed, the motion carries. Have a great evening.